Thank you. So, as we know, the transition from year 11 into post 16, it can be an absolutely huge one for our young people. They've experienced several transitions prior to reaching the end of their stat school age study, but moving from year 11 into some form of education, employment or training is a really, really big one for a huge number of our young people. This year, we've currently got 107 year 11 learners looked after to Surrey who are moving into some form of post 16 setting in September. Now, several years ago, I believe it was 2013, the government raised the The government raised the participation age. So that means that, in essence, that all young people aged 16 to 18, so up until their 18th birthday, should be staying in some form of education or training up until that point. So when you reach post 16, there are several options open to young people. Full-time study is one of the main ones. So actually, prior to transitioning into post 16, full time was actually considered to be 25 hours a week. So most young people in school should be receiving 25 hours a week. At post 16, actually, that's only 18 hours a week. And one of the queries that we quite often get from carers is around that timetable and the number of hours seeming a bit low. But at post 16, full time is considered to be only actually 18 hours a week. Young people can also progress into full-time employment or volunteering. So the government dictates that should be around 20 hours a week, whilst also in part-time education. Or they can undertake an apprenticeship or a traineeship. Now, what we know supports our young people best is that clear planning in advance for what they need and that solid communication. So we're going to move on now. I'm going to hand over to Anne to talk a little bit about further education.
Morning, everyone. So first of all, just talk about those young people that don't have any HCP, which is most of our young people. And the important thing is to actually start thinking about careers and what they want to do post 16 much earlier on. So so by the summer term of year 10, then hopefully they will have had some thoughts about what they want to do next. That may be staying on at their school if it has a sixth form, it may be going to a local college, it may be thinking about apprenticeships. School themselves will hopefully have had some conversations with them. There will be some careers advice going on in school. And the thing about the transition at post 16 is that there isn't like national deadlines or national timelines. There isn't a formal admissions process. So you have to make an application to everywhere that you want to go. And we really encourage all of our young people to not just apply to one college and think, I'm definitely going there and that's all I want to do. As Anna said on the film, don't put all your eggs in one basket. You know, think about staying on at school, thinking about local colleges. There's lots of information on the individual college provider websites. If you want to look at what they're offering, they will have open evenings. Unfortunately, under COVID, a lot of those have been shut. So you can take them along at the end of year 10. A lot of schools will also do transition work with their local colleges. So it may be that at the end of year 10, they get an opportunity to go and have a day in college to look at different subjects, just to get a feel for it. And it's quite exciting for them because it's quite different from school. Obviously, if they make an application to college, most of those are now online. They can fill them in themselves. You can support them. My son did his without me knowing, so you know they can actually do it themselves. They don't need support, but if they do need support, then obviously you know, please do that. And if you've got any questions about the quality of the colleges, obviously there are Ofsted reports, and we at the Virtual School are happy to talk to you about any of the quality of the provision that's either in county or just on our borders. The likelihood is that if they put an application through, then they'll be asked for an interview. And this can be quite nerve-wracking for young people. They may want to go on their own. You may be asked to go with them. It's up to you. And we just kind of say to you, a bit like a job interview, you know, be prepared. So, you know, arrive on time, don't be late, dress neatly. That doesn't mean a suit and tie, but just something you're comfortable in, but you know, that you look presentable. If the college have asked you to bring anything with you, certificates, if you're doing art, they might ask you to bring some examples of your work. You know, take that along to be able to talk about and to demonstrate what kind of young person you are. They're probably going to ask the young person about their expected grades, so that might be something that you could do a bit of prep with them beforehand. You know, do they know what they might be getting for English and maths, what their forecast? If they're asking to do particular subjects, you know, can they talk about those particular subjects, why they really like geography, why they really want to do motor mechanics, what are their interests, things like that. And it's also a good practice in any kind of interview to have a couple of questions. And I would maybe suggest that they ask things like, how many people are on the course, how many places are there? So they have an idea about whether they're likely to get in. And then also, what happens at the end of my course? Is it a 1-year course? Is it a 2-year course? Where do people go after that? So that's about the applications. And somebody in the background is going to magically move us on. So obviously, if the young person does have an EHCP, then there's much more support and planning that needs to go into their application as to where they go next. So hopefully there'll be a conversation with their Senko at school from year 9, thinking about whether they're staying with that provision, whether they're going to college, what other options are there available for them. So as we say here, it's not just about staying at school or college. A young person could be interested in an apprenticeship or a traineeship. They might be looking at doing some employment or training, and they might need some support with that. If you look on the Surrey Choices website, there's a lot more information about supporting young people with EHCPs post 16. That's a really good thing, and I don't think we've got the link here, but we can put it in later so you can have a look at that. And again, with young people, think about what they want to do, if they've got vocational areas they're interested in. And again, year 10 review. So what's the plan? Because if a young person makes an application to a college, then obviously their SEN officers will need to be in contact with that college to make sure that the young person can be supported appropriately as they move forward. That also applies to things like traineeships and apprenticeships. So it's not just colleges. If a young person's hoping to do an apprenticeship, that some of that may be delivered in college. So they may go to college 1 day a week, in which their college will need support for kind of the academic side of things. But if they're going to a private training provider where all of their training might be taking place in the workplace, they also need to know about the EHCP and what kind of support that young person should be having. So hopefully, by Christmas or at the latest the spring of year 11, the place where the young person is hoping to go will know about them, will have had their EHCP and is comfortable that they can support their needs. Okay. So Surrey Choices, again, you might find some more information about supported internships. So these are really for our young people that need that extra help. They may need somebody with them a bit more in the workplace to make sure that they make that transition, that they develop their skills and confidence, because we know so many of our young people do make excellent employees given the right situation and the right encouragement. So within a supported internship, students can spend sort of up to 6 months. It's unpaid, so like any internship, some people go off and do internships with legal companies and political parties and all things like that. So internships are unpaid. But while they're doing that, they should also get some help with their qualifications. So if we're still progressing with English and maths, then there will be some element of English and maths support with that. It's very similar to traineeships, which we'll come on to next, but with a higher level of support. So they might have somebody with them a bit more to make sure that they know what they're doing to get them settled, and then see where they go from that. There's no entry requirement, so we're not talking about them having a minimum level of qualification. So it should be open to everyone. Oh, lots of raised hands. Quite often they do tend to be sort of with larger employers or public sector, so hospital, the council themselves have offered internships in the south, so larger employers that can offer that level of support with their staff. The traineeships are kind of a precursor, if you like, to apprenticeships. They're a really good way for young people to get work experience, maybe to get some tasters of the types of things that they want to do. We know a lot of our young people don't really know what they want to do in the world of work, and I think most of us in the room would have not said that at 16 we knew exactly where we were going and what we wanted to do, and that's where we've ended up later in life. So it's a programme that it can last from 6 weeks up to a year. Though most of them are around 6 months. To be eligible, the young person needs to be eligible to work in England, unemployed or have had little or no work experience, age 16 to 24, and not have a qualification up to a level 3. So that's somebody who's got qualifications less than an A level. There's lots of ways you can find out about traineeships. We used the Amazing Apprenticeship website quite a lot. You can see their little logo down in the right. They have a section on traineeships. If you click on that, you can put in your postcode and it will tell you what traineeships are available within 5-10 miles of where you're living. Local college websites, the colleges themselves are delivering these programs. I've looked on East Surrey this morning, I've looked on Farnborough, they've both got sections on traineeships, so you can click on there. It will tell you about the program, so there'll be some, it will include work experience, of course, that's the main thing, but it will also include some more kind of classroom-based stuff, again, developing English and maths, but also things like team working skills, confidence building, really important, how to apply for a job, how to attend an interview, how to write your CV. So it's all about moving them on into apprenticeships, ideally, with employment. Again, the national database under the Find an Apprenticeship, the links there, that works. You can also look at large companies. So if you've got a large company in your area, biggest employer, quite a lot of the companies will advertise if they've got traineeships on their own recruitment site. So if you go into the main page and look for careers or working for us, you'll be able to find that. And if somebody's interested in doing a traineeship with a particular organisation, but you're not sure whether that organisation would be able to offer a traineeship, then there are links that we can make for you to talk to the organisations that can support both the young person and the employer. So apprenticeships. So apprenticeships, I guess the key thing about apprenticeships is obviously it's linked to a job. So the young person is going to be employed and they're going to be learning at the same time. And what we see here is that you can learn from a level 2 up to, I think they're doing apprenticeships level 6 now. So, you know, we might think of an apprentice as somebody who's going to be a mechanic or a hairdresser, but we're increasingly seeing apprenticeships for lawyers, for what did I write down? Engineering. So maybe more professionals, where so people maybe in the last 10 years or so thought, oh, I need to get a degree to do this. And actually now we're seeing more companies saying, well, actually, no, come to us at 18 and do an apprenticeship at that age and don't go to university. But I'll leave Andrea to talk about that because she's our post-18 guru. So again, loads of stuff on websites. The Amazing Apprenticeships, use that. You can do your searches, put in where you're living, and it will give you any of the vacancies that are locally. Also, Indeed, the Indeed jobs site, if you ask for apprenticeships again. So we've got employers or colleges offering roads into apprenticeships. And also, if you want to know about the terms and conditions that your young person should be supported with, so how much should their pay be, what kind of hours should they be working, all things like that, the DfE website will also give you lots of information. The Amazing Apprenticeship site has several blocks. There's one for the young people and there's one for parents and carers. They put out a lot of information. I think next week they've got some information on supporting young people when their results come out. So there is stuff out there. It's very much online. And if you do get stuck, then please come and talk to Louise or I if you've got particular questions about anything around the apprenticeships.
Thanks, Anne. We're going to hand over to Louise now.
Over to me. So if you're trying to support your young person into finding employment, there's obviously a variety of different options that you can go down. But one of the good places to kind of start is often like an Indeed, because they're a good search engine that kind of finds lots of different options, and you can filter it down to your local area and the type of thing that your young person might be interested in, and then it will come up with all the vacancies that are around. But if your young person is struggling with finding what they want to do and they kind of struggling with that direction, National Careers Service have a good skills assessment tool on their website, which the young person goes through a series of questions, and then it comes up at the end with what type of career might suit that young person. So I've used this previously with young people, and it's been good to kind of to sort of get rid of some options that they may have had that may not necessarily suit their skill sets, and then also come up with some other things that maybe they hadn't thought about. So often quite a good website to use, kind of find some direction. But also they have information around how to fill out job applications, support with writing CVs, etc. So yeah, definitely recommend going on to National Careers website for some further guidance. Another place you might be able to find employment for young people is by using your own local knowledge and also social media. So Facebook and Instagram nowadays, more and more companies are using social media to advertise job opportunities in the local area. So definitely something you might want to think about also. Work experience and volunteering. So this is another area where young people often struggle because they have not a lot to put on their CV. So if they're able to access some volunteering opportunities locally, this will therefore give them skills which will help them have some things to talk about when they go into interviews and things to fill their CV up as well. So often that's a good sort of stepping stone to get young people getting into employment. I think we've got a continued slide. Yes. So the first website that's on link that's on there is for the Job Centre Plus website, and on there's some helpful pointers for information about applying for jobs and how the Job Centre Plus can support people in applying for jobs. So it's something that I think we often forget about, that actually that is a service there that can support our young people. And Surrey County Council, their website has some obviously a list of different jobs that are available within the council. There are a very few select jobs which are specifically for care experienced young people, so they're also kind of worth keeping an eye out for, and that may suit the needs of your young people. So young people might be in employment or find a job that they like, and they might want to then convert that into an apprenticeship. So we are obviously able to provide some support with that. But employers, there's links for them to look at the financial incentives for employers to do that also. So it's kind of a win-win for both the young person and the employer in that situation. So what support's available from the virtual school? So all young people post-16 are offered 3 PEPs a year until the end of year 13. So even if they turn 18 within the year 13, they will still be supported until the end of that academic year. This is especially important for young people that are not in education, training, and employment, as we need to make a plan with them on how we can support them to move into some kind of training or education or employment. So the virtual school has commissioned You Explore to provide some careers advice to young people. So the young person needs to, or the professionals filling out the PEP need to express an interest in the fact that they'd like some support with careers advice, and then the education support officer so myself for the West and Anne for the East will then make the link so that the young person can get that support from us. In post-16 we have a limited discretionary fund, so that might be a short course to spark an interest for a young person. So I haven't had the experience of that because I'm very new to the team, but Anne was suggesting that one of the things we did last year was a young person wanted to go into beauty, so we were able to fund a short course in nails to be able to support her to move into something after that. So it's kind of to spark an interest, get the young person motivated and try and move them into something positive. So the post-16 team will share information with social workers and PAs about opportunities that are going on. Anything we've been given we'll try and forward on. And I know these are also circulated via Yammer, and often you can find some information on our website also. So as I said before, any post-16 queries can be sent to myself for the West young people and Anne Vickers for the East. But obviously, if you're not sure who fits in which area, then either of us, we can communicate between the two of us. Is this my slide also? Yeah. So PEPs are offered once a term, so 3 times a year, and young people are encouraged to engage with these as it's their plan. So it's kind of trying to get them involved, and the more input they put into it, the more kind of I feel they get out of the plan, because it's their own personal education plan. These should be organised by the social worker or PA, and carers are encouraged to attend and give their input. And it's always helpful to kind of have different kind of different views and things coming into the PEP, because that makes the best kind of PEPs to come out of that. Designated teachers for colleges and sixth forms would attend the PEP, but if the young person was not in education, training, or employment, then myself and Anne would act as a designated teacher. The virtual school is responsible for quality assuring all PEPs and making sure that the young person is making progress and receiving the appropriate levels of support. Anything else to add? Thank you. Pass to Andrea.
Hello, everyone. Andrea Mowat Hall, and I am the Education Employment Advisor for 18 to 25. So that is the care leavers. So what support is available post 18? Young people have access to education and employment advice throughout their time with the care leavers service, and I am the designated person for the care leavers. So contact or referrals will come through myself. A young person could self-refer, or they could be referred by their PA or social worker or even their foster carer. So if you have any questions at all, or if you need support with employment advice or career options, I would say please send me an email. Post-18 support is also available in the forms of educational trips, and that is trips that are essential for completing a course for those young people who are engaging with education, employment, and training. Of course, there's a limit. The maximum to that is £100, and also they would be assessed individual circumstances before the decision is made. Support also is available for travel. The young person may receive financial support for employment for a maximum of 4 weeks, just sort of tiding them over when they start a new job. But there's also financial support for the duration of an apprenticeship. So if there's a young person who's an apprentice for their entire apprenticeship, they are entitled to travel support. For those young people who progress to higher education, to university, to do a degree or a diploma, personal advisors can help them with applying for bursaries or grants. And these bursaries and grants are usually available from individual universities, and more information can be found generally on university websites. But the care leavers service also support their care leavers who are in higher education with a bursary or grant of £2,000. This £2,000 is spread across their 3-year course. If a young person is starting a course and needs a laptop, that is also considered on an individual basis, case by case, and the personal advisor would also help the young person to make that application. Young people who go off to university, one of their major concerns is often, where will I stay when I'm not on halls? Obviously, there are many universities at the moment offering year-round accommodation for care leavers, but that is individually and is not blanket for all universities. So I would recommend that the young person speak to the universities that they're applying to individually to find out what accommodation is offered for care leavers. For those who are not able to stay on halls year-round, there is an allowance, a living allowance at the rate of half the single person job seeker allowance funded by the care leaver service. But this is only out of term time during the holidays. There are also foundations that offer support for young people. Sometimes not huge amount, not huge sums, but it's worthwhile that young people in colleges and in university explore some of the grants and bursaries that are offered by charities like the Buttle UK and Surrey Community Fund. And I would recommend that they can either email myself or speak to their personal advisor.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, of course.
You're saying about they could get halls all year round at some universities.
Yes.
But even if they do,
I'm sorry, Janice. Could you repeat? You sort of broke up.
it's true that they then have for them every week they use. So when it's £170 a week, like for my young lady, if she doesn't come back and stays there, it really eats into her grant and her budget to pay for the 52 weeks when they're charging £170 a week.
I'm sorry, I didn't get that fully, but if you could put it in the chat for me, Janice, I could come back to you at the end because you were breaking out. Thank you. The pathway plan. I think some of you might be familiar with the pathway plan. A pathway plan is a document that the young person will complete with their social worker or personal advisor when they're 16, between the age of 16 and 21. The plan will set out their needs, their views, any future goals, and what support they will receive while they're with the Care Leavers Service. The pathway plan also considers their education, employment, health, finances, social needs, relationships, and accommodation. So it's quite a comprehensive document for the young person, and it is something that they can keep and take with them throughout their life, and they can always refer to it. So it's a very important document, and I always recommend that they get involved and also that they keep it safe. In terms of young people who are 21 to 25, the support that they get from the Care Leavers Service is usually on a needs basis, and when they turn 21, they usually would be close to the Care Leavers Service. But if they require further support, for example, if somebody wanted to return to education, complete a qualification, that support would be offered to them up to the age of 25. The amount of support and the frequency of contact will depend at the age of 21, would obviously depend on individual circumstances. And I think it would be dictated by the young person saying how much support they want and what kind of support they want. A young person's PA is also responsible for ensuring they have a relevant and up-to-date pathway plan, which considers their current need and what needs to happen to aid their transition into adulthood and independent living. So the pathway plan is not static, it's quite flexible, and it's tailored to the young person's needs. So they might put something in the plan initially, but their goals might change or their circumstances might change. And so there's a flexibility of always updating the plan. And I would recommend that young people always engage with their pathway planning process, as that will sort of clarify any support that they need, and they can be better supported by their PAs and other professionals. The pathway plan should be created, as I said, with the young person in mind at the center of it, and it will always reflect their current status and their views. Their personal views will also be recorded in the pathway plan, and their future goals, where they wish to go, what are their aims. And so the pathway plan is all about progression and succession planning and how they can achieve their goals and sort of have consistent support for their transition into adulthood. Okay, next slide, Abby, I think.
It is, thank you. Hi everyone, I'm Abby. So I support our UASC, our unaccompanied asylum seeking children cohort alongside Anna. So I wanted to give a little bit of context around how UASC is slightly different to our other young people that we look after. So many of our UASC young people arrive in the country from the age of 16 plus. I think at the moment I only have around 5 young people who are statutory school age. So majority of them, the other 115 odd, are post 16. They often have not had any previous education in their home countries, or if they did, they left it very young due to making, it could be an array of different things that may have happened that I won't go into now, but is usually quite traumatic as well. So a lot of their childhood can be forgotten or kind of just blanked out purposefully as well. So the transition into education for them can therefore be very challenging, confusing and isolating. It's vital they are given special consideration by the college they attend, as many of these young people may not know how to behave in certain contexts at college. Even situations such as answering their name during registration can be a struggle for an unaccompanied asylum seeking child who doesn't understand what's expected of them, and the college can kind of write to us or put in a report that the young person was rude or insolent, when this is not the case at all. The young person just didn't understand what was expected of them. There's a massive language barrier and things get lost in translation. It's therefore important that colleges attend awareness training that's put on by ourselves and other teams within Surrey. We do invite the designated teachers along to it. It's specifically designed with the UASC young people in mind, so that their unique struggles faced at college can be handled appropriately and fairly. So Anne already spoke about college applications. So for UASC young people, it's slightly different. So we apply for them as soon as they come into the country for post 16, because each college ESOL course, so ESOL is English to speakers of other languages. Each provision accepts young people at different points within the term. Some are roll on, roll off. Some of them are the set term dates as you would expect at a college, so it always slightly varies. If the young person isn't going to be starting college for a few weeks due to the time of year, for example, around now we have lots of young people coming in and it's almost the summer holidays, so there'll be no point them kind of joining now. They will wait until September. So we'll provide those young people with online provisions, which I will discuss further in a moment. But as just to give you a bit of context, as mentioned, our young people study ESOL courses. They usually go in, if they've had no previous English language experience, they'll go in at entry level 1 and they'll progress through entry 2, entry 3, and then they'll start on at level 1 and level 2, and they can go on then to do, like Anne was saying, if they wanted to do plumbing or a course such as that, they can start to do that then. Not all schools or colleges offer ESOL courses, so depending on your area where the young person is, it can be slightly more difficult to find a provision, and sometimes young people will have to travel a bit further to attend college, but as I think Andrea mentioned as well, there is a bursary entitlement to help with that if needed. If you are unsure if a school offers ESOL provision, it does usually detail it on their website, but please do speak to me as I can advise or look into it if I haven't worked with that school before. It's also great if you can speak to me, because some colleges have better support or experience with UASC than others. And I will have known this through my own encounters with designated teachers and knowing how well they look after our UASC young people. So if you're somewhere where you're lucky enough to have 2 provisions nearby, I might be able to suggest which one I think would better support the young person. So please do speak to me. I also just wanted to touch on the fact that Surrey carry out, that's a tongue twister, a REMA assessment, which stands for Race Equality and Minority Achievement. And this is to assess the young person's level of education in their home language, as well as their English language knowledge. It also includes background on their childhood experiences or any trauma they may have experienced. As you can imagine, these REMA reports are invaluable as they can be passed on to the school or college, so they're aware of the child's educational, emotional background. And it also includes detailed, practical ways for the educational provision to support the young person's transition into education in the UK, as well as how to support emotionally around any potential triggers or behavioural difference that I mentioned earlier that may be present. Could I have the next slide, please, Anna? Thank you. So as mentioned, a lot of our young people come across with no previous English language knowledge. So to give them a bit of a head start, we will often set them up with a laptop, unless the carer or already has one, which is sometimes great. But if not, we'll provide them with a laptop, and we'll provide them with online learning whilst we wait for them to be enrolled in their college. So we offer, you can see a few of those there. I've mentioned about REMA, but we offer Flash Academy, which is an online learning portal that the young person can log on to and access at any time they like. They can complete various English assignments set at different levels depending on their needs. We also can pick the subject matter that it's based around. So for example, with our US young people, we tend not to pick family and friends, because that can trigger, they've just come over to the country and they're obviously really missing their family, or they've been through something really traumatic. We can avoid those subjects and put them onto something like supermarket shopping or times of the year, which we found really helpful. We also offer Surrey Online School, which are an online ESOL group. An online ESOL group lessons run by a teacher 3 times a week during the term. And we're also running a summer Surrey Online School class throughout August as well, just to kind of bridge that gap whilst the young people aren't doing anything before September. You can also see on the screen there the Big Leaf Foundation. So we work very closely with Big Leaf. They're an amazing group of people that support UASC in Surrey, both academically by running kind of maths and English various sessions, as well as socially. So they're running a summer programme, such as our highly anticipated Jamie's Farm trip, which is a 5-day summer camp for displaced UASC young people aged 16 to 19, but we do have a few 15-year-olds going along too. The trip runs from this year, the 2nd to the 6th of August, and it gives 12 young people an opportunity to take part in team games, assist with different activities around the farm, and come together with other like-minded young people. They also get to do fun things like roast marshmallows around a fire and tell ghost stories, and pretty much be a kid. Sorry, yes, Jamie's Farm is only for UASC. So that, they get to be a kid again for the weekend, which for them is just the best thing ever, after things that they may have been through, or the stress of uprooting their entire life. They just get to forget about it for a weekend, and it was a roaring success last year. Some young people described it as the best day they'd had since they came to the country, so we're really excited. Myself and Anna are going along one of the days this year to help out and spend some time with the young people, and we can't wait, so that'll be really good. Big Leaf also run a football club on a Wednesday evening, which gives our young people the opportunity to meet other US young people in Surrey, play football with a coach from a real football team. Don't ask me which one, I'm not into football, but it's a good one apparently, and obviously get some exercise for them. Things like this are really important. As you can imagine, coming across to this country can be extremely isolating. So being a part of something such as a football club can create a much needed support network. So we work very closely with Big Leaf, and their work is invaluable to us. Referrals can be made via us at the virtual school or through the young person's social worker. And if you want any more information, they have a really nice glowy website. You can find out on there, but you can always speak to me about it. And if you do want to refer to your young person, if they're living in Surrey or sometimes the surrounding areas, just let your social worker or myself know and we can pass their details on to Big Leaf. Thank you, Anna.
Fab. Thanks very much, Abby. Right, back over to me for a little bit. So one of the questions we often get asked when it comes to post-16 is what about bursaries? So bursaries are often an interesting one. Young people who are looked after can make an application to their college or their school sixth form setting or other provision if they need help with costs associated with their learning. Now, there must be a financial need in order for the bursary to be awarded. This all changed last academic year, and it's become a little bit more stringent. You may have been supporting young people years ago when the EMA, the Education Maintenance Allowance, was awarded to young people when they used to receive £30 a week. I was always very jealous that I never got it, but somehow my sister did, and she got £30 for basically turning up to school every day, which seemed a bit unfair. So now it's been tightened up, and bursaries are very much need-based. So each college publishes its own policy, and so our recommendation is to look at the college's website and look at the information provided there, because the colleges are doing it quite differently. So it's best to go directly to the college for that information. So in order to support a young person's application for a bursary, the social worker will be asked to provide written confirmation. It's often something quite simple, like the form of a letter emailed over to confirm that young person's looked after status. So when a young person's completing their application for a bursary, it's important that they declare on their application form that they're looked after in order then to receive hopefully the full amount of bursary, which is £1,200. And that cost is then spread over the year. But as I've said, the different colleges do it differently. So you might find actually that some colleges will apply some of that funding to a meal card. So that provides lunch for the young person. It may alternatively provide funding for the young person if they need equipment or if they need transport costs or something along those lines. So results day this year is, once again, we've had a bit of a disruption to results and the way it's going to be carried out. So for the first time ever, we've got GCSE and A-level results being published in the same week. So A-level results are published on the 10th of August, which is a Tuesday, and then GCSE results are going to be published on the 12th of August. So over the next couple of weeks, you are likely to have a call from someone within the virtual school team, one of our education support officers, our ESOs. They make contact with you initially to let you know that they're going to be contacting you after results day at a time and a date convenient to you to discuss your own person's results, to identify what they achieved, and then to discuss whether or not they need any further support with their post-16 plans. So we have Charlotte and Tally, so they're level 6 qualified You Explore independent careers advisors on hand. They'll be virtually on hand and over the phone, etc., to offer career support for you and for your young person or your young people, if that would be helpful. So if they haven't quite got the result they were looking for, or they've changed their mind about doing a certain course, or they're considering something completely different, then Tally and Charlotte are on hand to support with that. And if you want their contact details or you want to sort of make an appointment with them or find out more information about that, then please speak to the education support officer contacting you from the virtual school within the next few weeks. The National Careers Service, literally just the other day, also announced that they're running a series of webinars for parents and carers if you are expecting your young person to receive results this August. So I've put the links into this presentation. You need to literally just kind of register for one of these sessions in order to attend, and they'll be covering various topics there. Advice about options, about exploring careers, signposting, Q&A, etc. So they're running throughout July and August, and hopefully they're taking place a little bit before results day, so you've got that information to hand should you need it. The National Careers Service also has a really useful website and free phone number, so that you can give them a call at any point if you're after a little bit extra information, advice and guidance about where to go next. And sort of to wrap up today, before we move on to some Q&A, we've got a variety of additional resources. Some we've mentioned throughout the presentation. So we've talked about amazing apprenticeships, the National Careers Service, the local offer. So this link will take you directly to the information about moving from stat school age education to post-16. But then you've also got the link for the Surrey local offer in general, which provides really useful information about how young people we send are supported, the different application times, pathways, that sort of thing. You've also got our website, which has got a variety of different information on it about young people, the support they might need, bursaries, CPD events, everything else can be accessed there. We've very recently set up a Twitter page. So I don't know if any of you tweet, but you're more than welcome to follow us. We're at Surrey VS. That's our little Twitter handle. So every day we're retweeting or we're posting different opportunities, additional information we come across, and we're finding this to be a really great way to get that up-to-date information out to you. We also post on Yammer where we can, so that information comes out to you. But the great thing about Twitter, actually, even if you don't know how to tweet, and believe me, I'm pretty rubbish at it. The brilliant thing is actually you've just got it at the tip of your fingertips, and once you've got the app, all you need to do, you can get notifications, or you just sort of scroll through and you can see all the latest up-to-date information. And of course, if you want to get hold of us another way, the phone line is always open. So we operate, I'm not going to say 24/7 because obviously we do log off at the end of the working day, but you can get hold of us pretty much 52 weeks a year if you need to speak to somebody. And if you want to speak to anybody today that's been in the presentation, then you get hold of us using this format. So for me, it's anna.mclean, although it's spelled like McLean, at surreycc.gov.